viewers, and welcome to another episode of Cheers Reviews. I'm your host Jimmy, and today we are talking about the Sire Marcus Miller V3 Gen 2 bass. That's right, we are going to dive into one of the most talked about basses on the internet, and I can't wait to see what it's all about. The Sire basses are renowned for their refined jazz bass styling and superior quality. Coming out of the Sire factory in Indonesia, my first impressions so far have been really good. One of the first things that really stood out to me when I was unboxing it was the beautiful satin neck finish, as well as those lovely rounded fret edges. And not only are the fret edges rounded, but the actual fretboard as well. And that kind of attention to detail is unheard of, especially in this price range. Available in 5 different colors, you've got the Sonic Blue, Orange, Tobacco Burst, Antique White, and Black, all of which come with a 3-ply black pickguard and a really high quality gig bag. Check with your local dealer for pricing, but this is most commonly found for around 649 Aussie dollary dues. Jumping into specs, we've got a mahogany body, a beautiful maple neck with a satin finish, a rosewood fretboard with pearloid inlays, vintage style tuners, and a steel bridge which allows the player to either string them through the top or through the body. I think having the option is really cool. Also, a really small detail, but I love the string tree on the headstock. I love that it captures the A string in there as well. And finally, it has 2 Marcus Miller J Revolution single coil pickups. These are controlled by either a passive volume tone setup or an onboard 3-band EQ preamp. You might notice that there's a little toggle switch where you can go between the two. The controls are a little bit confusing at first, but you do get used to them the more that you use them. From neck to bridge, we've got the master volume at the top, the tone at the bottom. The neck style allows you to blend between the 2 pickups. Fully clockwise gives you the neck, fully anti-clockwise gives you the bridge, and of course, there's a handy bump in the middle to know when you've got both pickups on full. Moving on, we've got the active treble EQ, where fully clockwise gives you a boost, fully anti-clockwise gives you a cut. Once again, it's got that handy little bump to know when you're flat. Next, we've got the mid control, which is a really cool setup. As you can see, it's a concentric dial where at the top you've got the boost cut function, and at the bottom you can actually control which mid frequency it is, where when you're turning it anti-clockwise you're using those low mids, and then when you're putting it clockwise you can control those higher mid-range sounds. I really can't wait to have a bit of a play with that. Next is the bass EQ control, and you might notice next to it that there is that little toggle switch where you can actually flick between passive or active controls. Now, I'm sure that many of you are wondering what is the difference between the Generation 1 and the Generation 2 Sire Marcus Miller V3 bass, and there's only a few small changes. The first one is that the pickups have been fine-tuned from the original Marcus Miller standard jazz bass pickups over to the new Marcus Miller J Revolution single coil pickups. As I mentioned earlier, the fretboard edges are rounded off, which feels just beautiful. In the first generation of the Marcus Miller V3 bass, it was just a regular flat fretboard, so no rounding off. And finally, the battery cover on the back used to be just a plastic cartridge, but now it is a custom ash wood cover, which does look pretty good. Now, with that out of the way, I'm really keen to have a jam, so without much further ado, let's see how it sounds. you thought in the comments below. Now, there are a world of tones that you can get out of the Sire Marcus Miller V3 Gen 2 bass, but I didn't want this video to go for hours, so I just chose a handful of my favorite tones to show you. But wow, a very, very impressive set of tones that you can get from those active EQ controls. In saying that though, I think it sounds equally as good using the passive controls, which was really surprising. And I love that you can easily toggle between the two active and passive controls. In saying that, the active preamp that is on board is one of the best that I've tried. And if you've watched my video on the Ibanez TMB 100 Talman bass, not all active preamps are created equal. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can see what I mean. As you might already be able to tell, I've really enjoyed my time reviewing the Sire Marcus Miller V3 Gen 2 bass. It has truly been an impressive bass, especially for the price, and the attention to detail is so good. Going from the rounded edges, the satin finish neck, the string tree on the headstock, the active preamp, and even subtle carvings at the back of the body to make sure that it's as comfortable as possible when playing. I really could go on, but this thing is a dream to play. Oh, and another thing that I lightly mentioned before is that it comes with a gig bag. Now, this isn't an area of my expertise, but this is a really good gig bag. It's super sturdy, it's got heaps of storage, and it's got really fat zips as well, so you're not gonna have any blowouts. Now, the only things that I'm not that big on with the Sire Marcus Miller V3 Gen 2 bass is the shape of the headstock. Look, I know it's like totally subjective, but I think it looks a little bit awkward. It's just not my kind of style. And another thing, and once again, totally subjective and personal taste, but none of the colors in the V3 range really stand out to me. I think that's why I got the black, just because it was kind of neutral and classic looking. But hey, I might be totally wrong there. Anyway, thank you once again for coming with me to check out the Sire Marcus Miller V3 Gen 2 bass. I've had such a fun time reviewing it, and I hope you have too. So if you liked today's video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see weekly bass related content, go ahead and smash that subscribe button down below. But until next week, keep on rocking, and I'll see you next time.